Hello and welcome. My name is Amy Pisani. I'm a research officer with the Information Services team at the Bureau of Crime Statistics and Research. Broadly speaking, people approach crime statistics with one key question in mind: what is happening with crime? A series of related questions typically follow, including how is it trending? Is it up, down, or remaining stable? Where is it trending? Statistical local government areas, suburbs, and even postcodes. What are the causes for the trend? And finally, what needs to be done? It's important for stakeholders to understand the limit of data. While some data might be useful for observing trends, it does not necessarily explain why crime is trending. As such, further analysis is needed. Answers to these questions may therefore require varieties of information and ongoing research, with statistics only acting as a single piece in the puzzle. In this session, I will explain how BOCSAR's quarterly recorded crime data describes what is happening with crime, and in turn, how the crime tool can be used to delve further into analysis, offering explanations which may be useful in responding to and even preventing crime. One of BOCSAR's primary objectives is to provide information to stakeholders so they can become more aware of what is happening with crime. Stakeholders who find recorded crime data useful include government, at the local, state, departmental, agency or council levels, media, non-government organisations or private organisations, academics and students, and even the general public. BOCSAR produce recorded crime statistical reports and data sets on a quarterly basis, offering stakeholders the most recent incident-based data in raw and analysed forms. In September 2020, BOCSAR released its recorded crime statistics covering the period January 1995 to June 2020. Recorded crime statistics are extracted from the Computerised Operational Policing System, known as COPS, which contain information on the incidents of crime reported to or detected by the New South Wales Police Force. The statistics for June 2020 were extracted from the system and provided to BOCSAR in August 2020. A small 3-month lag exists in the most recent data publicly available, allowing for greater accuracy in the reporting and use of crime statistics. Along with showing incident counts at monthly and yearly intervals, the data identifies statistical trends over short periods of 24 and 60-month periods and longer periods of 25 years, all ending June 2020. This allows stakeholders to observe patterns and directional changes in criminal incidents over different time periods. The long-term trends from January 1995 to June 2020 show the violent offences have remained relatively stable, while property crime has remained on the decline since peaking in 2001. Looking more closely at how the major offences have changed over a short period, crime across most of New South Wales has remained stable or fallen in the 2 years to June 2020. The only major exception to this is sexual assault, which rose by 9.4%. A similar upward trend was reported in the previous quarterly report. Jackie Fitzgerald, Executive Director at BOCSAR, comments, "It appears that at least some of the increase in sexual assault is related to an increase in secondary and mandatory reporting of child sexual assault. This trend is being continuously monitored to grasp a clear understanding of the trend." An important finding is that 4 offences have trended down over the last 24 months. These include robbery without a weapon, steal from motor vehicle, steal from person, and malicious damage to property. The remaining 12 offences are stable. During this quarter, crime patterns were significantly interrupted by the pandemic response in April 2020. In June, recorded incidents of break-ins, car theft and retail theft were still considerably lower than what they were in the same period in 2019. By comparison, we see more offences trending both up and down over a slightly longer time period of 5 years. 3 offences trended up, including domestic violence assault, sexual assault, and indecent assault or acts of indecency and other sexual offences, while 6 offences trended down, including break and enter dwelling, break and enter non-dwelling, steal from motor vehicle, steal from dwelling, steal from person, malicious damage to property. Importantly, the data shows that more offences are trending down than up over both short and long periods of time. To gain a more detailed understanding of the New South Wales trends, it's useful to look at geographical areas. The first level of analysis is a statistical area, which is broken down into two groups, Greater Sydney and Regional New South Wales. Consistent with the New South Wales trends, the only crimes to trend upward within Greater Sydney were sexual assault, which increased in Blacktown and Sutherland, and domestic assault, which increased in Baulkham Hills and the Hawkesbury, as well as Parramatta. In terms of decreases in crime, there is far more variation in the types of offences which experienced a decrease at the statistical area level compared with New South Wales. You'll also notice that while some areas experience changes, others experience little or no change. So for example, Blacktown experienced change in 7 out of 13 of the major offences. This compares with the Inner West, where no significant change or stability occurred across most of the offences. Consistently, regional New South Wales also experienced increases in sexual assault within the Hunter Valley, which excludes Newcastle, Illawarra, and the Southern Highlands and Shoalhaven. Increases in domestic violence-related assault also occurred, but only within Murray. There was also greater diversity in the types of offences which experienced a decrease across the different areas. Conclusively, by looking at these short and long-term trends, we now know which crimes and areas require policy attention. Spatial analysis and crime mapping are important tools to help stakeholders understand crime issues and trends, and in turn, prevent crime. Crime maps and the crime tool, which are available from our webpage, act as a visual aid, allowing users to identify offences, trends, and patterns based on proximity to features of interest, and to dissect information based on location or time. These are often easier to interpret than the raw numbers and statistics which we just looked at. Mapping crime allows people to visualise what the statistics are telling them and identify where specific trends are occurring. While maps are important for the visualisation aspect of understanding crime data, it's important to pair them with other statistical information to ensure the full picture is understood. For this reason, it's useful to combine the recorded crime data with the crime tool, which produces both maps and further statistical analysis. Crime is not random, but is actually spatially patterned across time and space. Looking at hotspot maps, we can see that crime is generally concentrated in highly populated areas. Look at the density and size of the hotspots around Sydney CBD. More specifically, it tends to be concentrated along the train lines, as indicated by the black lines. The circled area focuses on the train line running from Parramatta to Penrith. Notice the clustering hotspots. This makes sense because train stations are where you get a convergence of targets, victims, and absence of capable guardianship. These are therefore key areas for situational crime prevention, such as environmental design. Pie charts are a good addition to hotspots as they explore the proportion of offences by premise type. This time looking at robbery, we can see that the majority of robberies occur on roads, streets, and footpaths. As explained with the hotspots map, this public space offers greater opportunity for such crimes and should again be the focus of targeted crime prevention strategies. To conclude, BOCSAR's recorded crime quarterly report and crime mapping data have different implications depending upon the stakeholder. Some uses and implications for our key stakeholders include media report on crime trends, particularly increases at local levels, to inform public opinion and influence policy on criminal justice issues. Academics reflect upon trends in crime, which are up, down, or non-significant or stable, to inform, support, change, or conduct new research and to educate. Finally, the government, also reflecting upon direction of trends, utilise the data to identify the trend types and areas which need attention. This then informs policy on crime and criminal justice issues such as legislative changes, allocation of resources, implementation of social programs, and changes in situation or environmental design, which is known as crime prevention. Thank you for listening, and for more information, you can get in touch via the various communications